Good evening, everyone. We're just waiting for Norma to log in. She said that a little bit with connecting, and then we will start. Um, Technology wasn't on our side today. Looks like it. So let's just give it 2 minutes to sign in, and then we can start. Okay. Can you hear me, Gugu?
Loud and clear, Tamsin.
That's good. Unfortunately, Richard had a family emergency. His wife is stuck in the rain. Apparently, it's raining very badly in the PE area. So that is where he's stuck at the moment. He said he will try and join when he does have some time, or if he finishes in time. And great thing Ipeleng is on the call, because I was actually thinking about her as um, yeah, like being there, bringing her expertise into the chat as well. Gugu, if you can just add Norma as a speaker as well.
I've just invited Norma. Norma, if you can hear us, please accept to become a speaker. But in the meantime, I think we can start our session, Tamsin.
Yes, 100%. So we're doing things a little bit different. You're seeing that you're seeing that Google is not your host this week. I'll just introduce myself. My name is Tamsin Davids. I am the owner of Crystal Consulting, which is a food safety and quality company. I assist clients with implementing their food safety and quality policies or systems. I'm also part of a group with two other ladies. We own a company called ATP Consulting. We basically do research and development, anything under the sun, really. That's just me. I will ask Veli and Norma to also introduce themselves, so that we can hear a little bit more about who it is that we're actually speaking with. Veli, can you hear me? Veli,
Hi, Tamzin. Hello, hello.
thank
Can you
you.
hear me? Am I
Yes,
in?
we can. You
Okay,
are.
perfect.
We can hear
Uh,
you. Yes.
how are you guys? You
Can
good?
I'm good, Veli. How are you?
No, not complaining. Gugu. Trusting all is well. Yes. My name is Veli. My surname is Kosi. I'm with Tswana University of Technology, and I'm offering food processing, food safety but mainly dealing with ISO 22000. And then yes, my interest research. I'm supervising quite a few students this year on food safety and food safety issues ranging from labeling to hazards associated with And also, by sheer luck, this is just a week after publishing an article on the issues of slaughter in South Africa. It is the second article that is basically looking at. I'm sure the farmers will enjoy. I'm looking forward to this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Veli. Thank you so much for that. And well done on publishing your article. I'll make quite a bit of reference to it tonight while we are speaking. Let's just see if we have Norma. I think she left the call again. Um, but nevertheless, let's start chatting. Vili, while I have you here, to our spaces tonight is focused on the slaughtering process of all livestock, the food safety aspect that goes with it, but also the illegal slaughtering that's happening currently in our industry and in the country. Um, so yeah, just tell us a little bit about how you actually go about humanely slaughtering an animal.
Thank you so much, Tamsin. And I think the most important thing when one looks at the issue of illegal slaughter needs to understand the thin line between general slaughter, which is really accepted by our regulations in South Africa, where they say if you've got a function, you may slaughter, and but then your onus lies with the farmer to make sure that they slaughtered an animal that is not sick. The second aspect of it will be, when do you decide to sell? But then the regulation is clear again that if you decide to sell anything that is not from an abattoir, it is now deemed an illegal slaughter. You can slaughtered at home. You cannot sell to the public. Now this is a fine line. And again, when one looks at how South Africa has developed and the way farmers are feeling, really all regulations, all restrictions are upon us. What is it that really the world can really understand South Africa as a country? But South Africa wants to be complying to the European world. South Africa wants to control lots of production because we are exporting. But again, we are leaving behind lots of activities that we are saying they are illegal, yet such meat is circulating within our communities. Now, to say illegal slaughter versus informal slaughter versus bridging the gap between the an informal okay, a slaughterer or a farmer who's saying I'm small, but I'm happy where I am. Can my produce be certified safe for human consumption? That's where I think we should focus. Yes, our research is really focusing on bridging the gap, but it's really not enough. We need to do more from the science world. We need to do more again from scholar in at university levels. We need to do more from really engaging farmers to say we still need to certify you. Let's bridge the gap. Let us not look at the cost. Let us assist as much as possible. With research, we're saying government must consider the basic requirements that an ordinary farmer can follow and certify his or her meat safe for human consumption. Yes, Tamsin?
Thank you so much for that, Veli. I think it is very important, the point that you brought up, that we must rather focus on that gap of where we are currently at between being taking your meat to an abattoir, having your meat as being slaughtered in an quote unquote informal way or manner of slaughtering, and then you obviously have um, what we call our cultural practices and all of that. That is also still another can of worms. We do have Norma on the call now. Norma, can you just introduce yourself, please? Norma, there we go. You just have to unmute your speaker and then. Noma, can you hear me? Noma, you just had your speaker unmuted. You can just start speaking when you are unmuted. Looks like Noma is having a little bit of technical difficulties on her side. All right, let's try and continue with Veli. Google, you can also come in here, and I'll also direct some questions at Ipaleng. Uh, Let me rather say I am directing this question to Ipaleng. So Google, if you can maybe just I'll invite Ipaleng to as a speaker as well. Um, how does the inhumane slaughter or humane slaughter thereof, how does that affect your meat quality, especially in the beef production as well as the broiler production?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ipi Lengkwadi, one of the young farmers in the Northwest Province. Tem, can you please repeat the question? I lost the question.
No stress, Ipeleng. I just want to know how does let me not say inhumane slaughter, let me say for the lack of a better word, the non-correct way of slaughter. So if you're not using a piston, how does that actually, and if you cause the animal to stress before slaughtering, how does that affect meat quality?
Well, the problem that I had in the past years was dehoning my cows. It becomes a problem when they go to the slaughter because when the cows are fighting, those horns they can become a problem to the skins. They cause some there will be some marks on the skins of the animals. So when they get to the abattoir, it becomes a problem because every time when they inspect that meat, there is that mark, and then they have to cut out that mark, and your meat value decreases. So it becomes a problem. And really, over the past years, it becomes a problem when you see that if you can check on the beef production, we don't have young people who can be part of who are learning that procedure of the meat. If you can check, or most of our farmers, they are on the primary level. They just raise the animals and they just sell them at the auctions. The procedure from the auctions to the abattoir, it becomes a problem because they do not understand. So we are really trying as farmers so that we can fill that gap where we will be having more people on the meat industry who will be classifying. Thank you.
Thank you for that answer, Ipeleng. I hear you, and I think it's an ongoing thing that we also need to find ways that we can try and assist our farmers to give them the knowledge as to how they must actually go about learning these things. Noma, I can hear you in the background. Oh, I can hear the background. Can you maybe try and speak? Oh, Noma says she can't hear me, but she can hear Ipeleng. Gugu, can you maybe see if you unmute if she can hear you?
Hi, Norma. Hi, Norma.
Okay,
Can you hear
now
me?
I can hear you.
Oh my word.
So I'm clearly the problem here.
No, you're not. Okay, maybe you can ask me the question that you'd like to direct at Norma. But Norma, I just think first thing is first, maybe just introduce yourself and just tell us who you are and what it is that you do.
Hi everyone, my name is Noma Tembalanga. I'm a farmer slash butcherist. So I basically grow the animals, I rear them from the beginning, and then I take them to the abattoir for slaughter, bring them back to my butchery, and process them and then resell.
Thank you, Norma. Tamsin, do you have a question that you'd like me to direct to Norma?
Yes. So now that she's explained that she takes her animals to the abattoir, what is best practice after the abattoir, after slaughtering? How do you actually ensure your meat is stays safe during that process of taking your meat to the abattoir and bringing it back to the processing facility?
All right, Norma. So we basically want to know how you ensure food safety from taking your produce to the abattoir and then bringing it back to the food processing facility.
So we basically have we've got a trailer, and I use my buggy and I put the animals inside the trailer. So I've got vet certificates which allow me to go and slaughter at the abattoir. So I've got an agreement with R&R, and then we also slaughter at State Funding, the one in Pretoria, with our kettle as well. So all I do is chuck the animals inside the trailer, drive them out in a trailer, but it should be covered, in terms of heat and everything. And when we load them in, we've got a loading bay so that they are less stressed than just that procedure. And then we drive them out, then deliver them at the abattoir. And then when we're going to fetch the carcasses, because now in terms of the Meat Safety Act and everything, we use a mobile refrigerated truck to go and fetch the carcasses. So we fetch the carcasses, whether it's beef or pork. We fetch them the next following day. And then I've got other butcheries which I wholesale to them. So I drop them off there, drop the carcasses there, and then drive back to my butchery as well, deliver there, and then put them inside my butchery in a cold room. So that cold chain is never broken from the refrigerated truck to the butcheries.
Thank you so much, Norma.
I'm so glad that she touched on the Meat Safety Act, because that was my next question. And I'm going to direct this to Veli, because he's done a lot of research upon, and that's focusing on the illegal slaughter of animals currently in South Africa. So Veli, what are the legislation that's governing the slaughtering process currently in South Africa? And what are the most important ones, if you can highlight some?
Okay, thank you, Tamsin, for the question. Now, just before we come to the legislations, you spoke earlier about the animal welfare, where animals are still considered to have rights. Now, when you want to ensure a prolonged quality or product that will stay in a chiller much longer, you definitely need to make sure that you don't excite the animal. By exciting the animal, it means you don't make it run around. You provide it with an environment that is calmer, not an environment that will say, you know what, in the next minute you are going to be killed. You will be, in the next day, you will be a steak. Now, the most important part there will be seen during the inspection at the latter part of the slaughter line, where the pH of an animal must be at least not below 6, which is a little bit lighter acid, and also around 7, which is neutral. But now, once an animal is excited, it goes on a higher level of deposition, meaning you will find that the muscle are not contracting enough. Now, rigor mortis, that the scientists will talk about the rigor mortis, you'll find that the muscle is shaking even if the animal has died. You need that process to take place for your meat to mature nicer and be better. Otherwise, if the animal was slaughtered stressed, the meat becomes tough and then it becomes you lose. You possibly lose even from your A grade, even your AB. Okay, B, it will taste like a C grade. And that's where farmers need to be sure to balance it up. Now, coming back to the issues of legislations, yes, the animal welfare, because the animal welfare guys are going to still visit you in the farm to say, are you doing what is expected? Are you treating these animals like babies? Are you taking care of these animals, even though you know that they are next going to be a stew? Now, those guys, animal welfare will be clear on the animal handling. Animals must not be slippering all over. Some of you are aware of that. Other than the injuries that Ipileng has spoken about, that also renders find that your most expensive cut from the carcass is now damaged. Like, let's talk about the loin. You have lost so much money from that part, and now if your animal is not damaged, when we classify, we find it good, it has a nice conformation, it has a nice fat coat, it is also at a younger age and it's not injured, then that's where the farmer needs to make money. Again, when there's slippering in your pens, of course you are going to have animals that are going to be injured, animals that are going to be excited, animals that are going to be stressed. This also chows away from your pocket as a farmer. Now, the second most important, now I'm referring here to at an abattoir, really a certified facility that needs to handle, slaughter animals and distribute at a later stage to a butchery. Now, at an abattoir, there's the Meat Safety Act. The Meat Safety Act looks at the issue of slaughter and control, but it starts again from what we term antemortem inspection, where you do this inspection before to check if an animal is really ready to be slaughtered at that particular time. Now, if an animal is not ready to be slaughtered, you need now to determine if this animal must be handled in a proper way or care for it. Sometimes we call it a secondary slaughter or an emergency slaughter, where we say, let's put it down. It is suffering from pain, or this animal is really not going to be safe to slaughter. It has lots of abscesses. If we slaughter it first, it's going to contaminate the slaughter floor. As a result, all these microorganisms that are linked with the pus are going to be spread all over. We may need to make sure that this animal is slaughtered last. The Meat Safety Act is clear on those issues. And also, the Meat Safety Act is clear on the issues of inspections. What do we inspect? How do we inspect it? And what type of decisions must be taken? Tamsin, I think I should pause it for now. Is it, if it's okay? I can say a lot about this topic.
No stress, no stress. Really, you are a passionate person, and I really understand that. Thank you so much for touching on that. Norma, can you hear me now? I can hear your background. I look like I think I'm the problem. Google, can you just ask Norma if she can hear us?
Norma, can you hear Tamsin?
The problem is that I can't hear her. Let me try and join with the other link because I still can't hear her even now.
But you can hear everyone else besides Tamsin.
Let me,
Yes.
Norma, can you hear me when
Oh,
because I've
okay.
taken out my earphones now. I'm just using my phone. Can you maybe hear me now? Nope. All right, cool. Let's move on. From the legislation. Thank you so much, Veli, for touching on the issues of the Meat Safety Act and what it is that we are required to actually follow. However, I think I just want us to broaden out a little bit more on what is actually required when you're taking your meat to the abattoir, what the abattoir is actually responsible for in terms of keeping your meat safe, abattoir needing to be registered, and all of those things. And I think Ipileng is not a speaker anymore, because I actually was directing this to her, because since she is also very involved in the slaughtering process, can we maybe get Ipileng back as a speaker, Gugu?
Yes, and I think we can open up the floor also, Tamsin, so that this can be very interactive. So we do have Ole as a
All right,
speaker.
cool.
Ole, hi. So the floor is open, ladies and gentlemen, on the space. So if you guys have questions, we have our speakers here that can answer any of your questions. So don't be shy. Just request to be a speaker, and you'll have your questions answered by really the best. So if you guys have any questions, feel free. This is a safe space. So the floor is officially open.
Hi,
Ole,
Google.
hi.
Hi, Google. Hello, everybody. Am I audible enough?
Hi, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you, Ole.
Okay. I'm gonna be. I don't know if what I'm gonna say. It's a bit of controversy, or I'm a bit out of line. But what I wanted to say, Tamsin and the latter speaker, Mr. Vusi or Velile, I can, yeah, Veliza, Mr. Veliza. I don't know what does legislation say in terms of the legality and the illegality of slaughtering. Now, some of us, we breed cattle. Most of our clients are the black market. If I was to say that, like for an example, most of my cattle I sell them to people that slaughter them for funerals. Just alone last week, I think I sold about 20. This week, about 6, and my goats are being sold in KZN. Now, how are we supposed to service our clients or our customers without stepping on legislation? And also, we can't also offend them, because when coming to culture is a very important and sensitive issue when coming to other people. You can't offend. Somebody will take offense if you tell them they can't slaughter their goat because they want to appease their ancestors or something like that. So I know I'm coming with a bit of controversy, or it's a bit of a challenge also, because now, as a farmer, I need to please my client. I need to protect my client and make sure that I service my client and my client is happy. So in us discussing that issue of what is illegal slaughtering, what is legal slaughtering, we need to be very careful not to be seeming to offend our clients, because at the end of the day, we don't breed animals for things. We breed them to sell them and for the meat. Yes, it's some of my animals I do take to the abattoir depending on the clients which I want to service. But most of my clients, they are the black market. So we need to be very careful we don't offend our customers. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Ole. I 100% agree with you. And I was going to touch on the subject of slaughtering for cultural purposes, because 100% we live in a country with a multidimensional cultural, with our cultural heritages, and we come from different backgrounds. And we, like you said, we cannot push our beliefs on our clients 100%, and that is not what we're trying to do. Veli, do you maybe have something to say about the cultural practices, and the slaughtering and the cultural practices behind it? Because I know you've unpacked this quite a bit in your study. Hearing from you, and also Norma, if there's something that you want to add, that would also be really great.
Okay, thank you, Tamzin. Thank you, Olerile. Yes, it's Veli. It's Veli. Veli. The Veliza is just now. Ole, Rile. Look, I've also touched a little bit about the sensitivity between the finer line between formal or informal, legal or illegal. Now, the regulations in South Africa is clear on one aspect. people can slaughter for indigenous purposes. And the other part, it says for cultural purposes, which are latter sections of the Meat Safety Act. I think it's later than 125, Regulation 129 or so. But also, it also says you can also practice ritual slaughter. It is accepted. The question is, will you then sell the product? If the answer is no, then you are within. It becomes an illegal practice when you are going through the route of no, I slaughtered for my culture, but then you end up selling this meat at the butchery. That becomes an illegal. And I could understand the definition of an illegal slaughter because it is when you are issuing or there's money exchange or release of your meat to an unsuspecting public. It is important, Olerile, to note these two things. The act is clear, and South Africa recognizes the different cultures. And they say now, if you want to slaughter, there are certain things that you must follow. For an example, an animal must be safe, must be healthy. You can't slaughter an animal that is sick. You can then you can sell a live animal, but the onus lies with you not to be sued by the person who's a recipient or a customer. But then there's this other finer thing there. There's a finer detail to say when you want to sell a live animal, it's okay. But when you start to slaughter for a purpose, for a person, then it becomes a business. The slaughtering, unless you're saying I'm slaughtering at a certified area where my area is demarcated, is given authority, which is one of the requirements again from municipality to give you a right to perform a specific. That is why it's a dicey situation for a country like South Africa. But I would advise farmers to really try and stay away from slaughtering for consumers or for a person, because when you practice a culture, all the cultures that I've seen, the slaughter is not taking place at the farmer's point, but it generally takes place at the clients or at the person who's practicing or who's actually doing this. We call it what, a ritual. But of course, there are other types of slaughters that are taking place in an abattoir setup, just like kosher. Also, it's the Jewish way of slaughter, which is permitted in an abattoir. Of course, also halal is performed within an abattoir because this meat is generally later sold to the public. All the processes must take place, including the meat inspection, including all the documents that must be needed by an abattoir before they accept even your animal. And I can think of one document, the health declaration, which says this animal was not subjected to any type of a residue. I think, or really, I've just touched a bit, because once you touch residue, you don't want a consumer to eat meat that was injected the previous day. Those are the controls that are within an abattoir, but they are not there when we are busy at home trading. But let me be on record to say cultural practices, ritual practices, religious purposes, they are all taken care of in the legislation. The problem is the final line between the two. Tamsin?
Thank you so much, Veli, for that. I really appreciate your explanation. And Ole, I really want us or I really want to note that we want to include everyone and be all inclusive of all of the cultures. Even us on the farm, we sell goats and we sell cows. And what is done with the meat after, what is done with the animal after the point of being sold, you can't really have you don't have any control over that. So unfortunately, we can only enforce what you feel uh, is permitted and what is necessarily. But you like you said, you can't force your your opinions on other people. Like Gugu said, the floor is open, so I'm gonna open the floor again for any questions directed at myself or Veli or Gugu. If there's anyone that wants to ask a question, now is your time to ask. I think we've
Norma is on. Sorry to cut you. So Norma is on time, and maybe we can direct a question to her as
100%.
well.
Thank you so much. I'm assuming she can't still hear me.
Yeah, I think
Yep.
so. Yeah.
So okay, Gugu, my question would be, why we as informal or emerging farmers, why do we have so little access to abattoirs and actually to quote unquote legal slaughtering facilities?
Why do emerging farmers? Sorry, please repeat the question, Tamzin.
Why do we not have such easy access to abattoirs and formal slaughtering houses?
Oh, okay. Perfect question. Norma, so Tamzin would really like to know from you as small emerging farmers, that most of us are, why aren't we given access to formal abattoirs, and why is that not an easy process for us?
Um, Let me just be specific. Let me just go into the pig industry because that's what I specialize in most of the time. So you do have access to these abattoirs, but now because of the types of diseases that are there, they also take precautions, as they always say. Like when I started out, I had cement floors, and I still have cement floors. And when you go to the abattoir, now they're talking about the Pork 360, where you should be having crates, in order to have a good quality of your trotters. And like, so those are some of the things that they consider as an abattoir, to saying, okay, um, this is what we want as an abattoir. You should have crates, you should have minimum biosecurity, you should have a loading bay, even the truck that you're going to transport the pigs in, or whether it's going to be a trailer. You need to just abide by the law, have that minimum requirements in place, and then you're also able to slaughter, because as well they also deal in big numbers. So at first I also felt like, no, this industry, it's not welcoming for small scale emerging farmers and all of that. But once I got to be on the processing side, I realized the importance of that, because yes, you are an emerging farmer, you've got your small stock, but now you are taking that small stock and it's going to be with other commercial pigs. There are other trucks that go there, and all of that. So that for them as well is another a precaution, because even the types of food that some of these small scale farmers give their pigs becomes an alert as well, to saying, what type of feed are you feeding your animals, what transportation, how are they staying, because we tend to say, no, I want to use less because I don't have more, since I'm just emerging or a small scale. So as well as we emerging or small scale farmers, we need to also take responsibility and realize that there's so much importance within the standards that have been set, to ensure that when the customers receive the meat, it's of good quality. And then you also ensure that even the abattoir itself, you don't find that there'll be an outbreak of your African swine fever because of my pigs. So it becomes a 50-50 thing. But the abattoir it's accessible for small scale farmers as well.
Thank you so much, Norma. That was quite elaborate, and I think I also just maybe have a follow-up question for you when it comes to compliance, because a lot of farmers shy away from that, or they feel like it's just too difficult, or there's a lot of paperwork, or it's just not for them. But I want to know from your standpoint, what benefits you think or have rather experienced by being compliant?
But at the end of the day, if you want to shy away or move away from being a small scale farmer, those are some of the things that you look at. And these are some of the things that when I have my training workshops, I always tell people to say, as you're starting now, yes, you're a small scale farmer, but start budgeting for your environmental impact assessment, because when you look at that, you don't have that we consume as just South Africans. So it does come with an advantage to saying it's going to take you years to get there, but you want something quick or you want something that's going to last longer, and say, this is what I'm really building. I'm building a legacy, I'm building a brand. I want when people see me or they see my farm name, they're associated with me and quality. And with me, that is what I basically specialize in: quality. Um, all my customers will say your quality is good, less fat and everything. That's why I never even struggled with a market when it comes to a business plan. And people say, no, you need a market. But when you go to these wholesalers, you give them your abattoir gradings and says, this is what I produce. I produce first grade. They give you a letter of intent and say, okay, can you produce for us? But now the problem then comes in when you have to start looking for funds, because how do you fund a person who has a 10 cell unit and wants to move to a 250 cell unit? The banks say, but that doesn't make sense. You can move from 10 to 50. But in terms of finance, I can take out a loan for a 50 cell unit, which is only going to make minimum, and I can pay back that loan. So I'm not going to even make profit. So those are some of the challenges that you basically come across, even though you can have your market, your compliance, and all of that. I'm still stuck. I've been having letters of intent, I don't know for how many years, and all of that. But when it comes to that funding, because it becomes a risk factor for the banks to say you can't move from a 15 cell unit to a 350 cell unit. So that's where the government then needs to kick in and say, okay, maybe we'll give you a 20 cell unit or 50 cell unit. But then again, their process also takes time. So when you look into coming into this industry of farming, especially when it comes to animals and pigs, especially, you're not just looking at saying, I'm going to make a turnover or I'm going to be a commercial farmer within a space of 5 years. That is highly impossible. You are looking at 10 years if you are an emerging farmer. So those are some of the things that I can really share, but there are benefits of being compliant.
Thank you so much, Noma. We really appreciate you sharing so much of your experience with us, and also highlighting and reminding us that it really is a long-term journey. But as long as you work very hard and you comply to access other markets, and not just a specific market, then you should come all right. So Tamsin, I don't know, we have Ngaruye here.
Yeah, let's wait for him to ask a question.
Hi, Ngaruye.
Seems like you're still connecting. All right. I have a last question to ask. For both. For any livestock farmer really on the chat. Um, how do we how do we educate our farmers, and how do we move forward from just being a farmer that's providing to the informal market, and how do we actually get to a point of where Norma is, or where Ipeleng is. So I think someone that has a little bit more background on this. I know you can take the ARC route, but what is the other route that you can actually take? Really, if you might know how farmers actually can get into a space where they learn about what it is to become compliant, how from the start you produce, keeping in mind the fact that you are actually wanting to sell to your cash and carries, or to sell in a commercial environment. I hope you can maybe shed some light there.
Okay. Yes, Tamsin, thank you so much. And I'm glad also Norma touched on what you call statistics. But now to look at bulk of our problems now in the whole world comes from meat. Now we're talking COVID, but where is it really coming from? One read an article about 90% of the new emerging diseases are coming from meat products. So the farmer is so important, and important in the future of all economies. Now, looking at a normal farmer, a farmer who's at home there, you need to have an abattoir. Okay, now let's say you are now must talk to the people from veterinary services that are within your area to advise you on how to have your animals ready, just like Norma has said. But on the flip side, you need to look at how am I then going to supply a healthy animal which is accepted by a normal farmer, by a normal abattoir, by a normal customer. There are quite a few things that one needs to understand. Some of them regard issues where you want to slaughter yourself, where you have minimum units, you slaughter, you just provide, you still stay within, you make your own money within the area, but there are a few things that you need to comply with. For an example, there must be a structure, there must be an inspection of your product, there must be certification, and once you've done that, it at least means you can move on to the better units once you improve. For a basic impact study, maybe at a later stage, an environmental impact study. I think that's important. Tamsin?
Thank you so much for that, Vili. Ole, I see that you've joined as a speaker. Do you have a question? Ole, are you there? It doesn't look like we have Ole. Noma, is there anything else that you would like to add?
Noma is still a listener, but I've invited her to speak. And I actually have a question for farmers as well. When it comes to um like value adding, because I know Ipelang supplies for like the huge, like, for Woolies, so that would entail like your pack houses and stuff like that. So when it comes to farmers, are they looking at going free range? Are they looking at organic? Are they looking at regenerative organic? Are they looking into um you know supplying and having a story behind their produce, because I know Woolies is chasing the story. They want to know where it's grown, who has grown it, and who it benefits. So are farmers looking into that, or they happy where they are?
This is what basically I always tell people that always say, "Can you mentor us? Can you give us guidance?" I say, guys, listen here. You first need to go and do your research, and just find out what is it, or which stage of the value chain would you like to be a game player in, because once you understand the market, then you would know, are you targeting Woolworths that says, even with the pigs, they will tell you they want a sow free or sow friendly pork, which now that means you won't have to put your sows in a farrowing crate, which means less money for you as a farmer in terms of buying the infrastructure and equipment. But then again, you've got your guys like your Linka that says we still want them in a farrowing crate. So it always depends at saying, who am I really targeting? Do I want Woolworths? And this is the amount that they are willing to pay. Do I want Linka? And this is the amount that they're willing to pay. And says, okay, I can afford to be in such a space because these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses, and these are the opportunities and threats that represent are presented to me, as a company or as an individual. That's why I just say research is key. Knowing your client and knowing who you're targeting makes a huge difference, and it widens up your level of thinking and saying, how am I going to mitigate or find my way in this industry? Hence you find that I'm still a small scale farmer, but I make a living out of adding value, which is the agro processing part of it, and it makes um, better sense than the primary part. It's just that the primary part comes in as a passion to saying, I really want to be a commercial farmer, and I will not stop till I get there, but something else is it's also going for me, and it's generating an income that I never thought would actually be about.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much, Mama Kwamba. Oh, sorry, Sandra.
No, Cuckoo,
Can
go
you hear
ahead.
me?
She can hear you, so you must speak.
Okay, no, I just wanted to say thanks, Nomatemba, for clarifying that, and also just you reminding us of everything that we should be aware of by now. Market research. You hear farmers tell you about market research, but you need to also understand what that means. That means that you understand your clients, you understand the pack houses and their requirements, and the market as well. You understand how that works, so that you can find your footing, so to speak. So, Noma, thank you so much for that reminder.
It's a pleasure.
Ole, you do you have a question for us? I see that you've requested to speak. Oh, there's Ole going again. I did hear him come on. He's trying to reconnect. I Ole. It sounded like Ole was driving. Maybe he's in a bad network area. Uh, all right. Let's just give him some time to come back as a speaker. Is there anyone that has any additional questions? Now is your time to just shoot.
Okay, so guys, the floor is open. So if there are any questions or queries, or maybe something that you'd like our speakers to elaborate on, or just a question that you might have personally, I think now's the time to just use this opportunity to learn from our speakers, and ask away, and don't be shy. This really is a safe space for you to speak and learn. So yeah, the floor is officially open. I think we'll open it up for the last time. So Guys, now's your chance to ask a question. Don't be shy, also, please.
Yeah, I think we have great speakers on the spaces. I mean, Noma shared a lot of her journey and what she feels like we need to focus on. So, if there's anyone that would like to know more of Noma's journey, or what are some pointers that you can follow, yeah, now is the time to ask.
Hi, farm girl. Hi, Feli. Yes, we can hear you. Feli, you're audible.
Okay, this question is directly to Mr. Veliza. I just wanted to ask what are the requirements for opening up an abattoir? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Is it Farm Girl? Yes, the requirements are basic. The first one will be if you want to open an abattoir, which is a rural abattoir, that means an abattoir that slaughters less than 2 units. 2 units, it could be two cattle, and then it takes down to 4 pigs, and then it takes down to 6 because the number of weights are different. If you want to you are in an area where you are just far there, you can really go the route of a rural abattoir, and that needs you to one have a letters of no objection, but then the guys from the where veterinary public health can assist you. But one is the letters of no objection from the people who are neighboring you. The second one will be the authority or the person who is in charge of that area. It could be a municipality or even a chief, to say no, I'm still okay with Farm Girl opening up this facility. And also then you need to do a basic impact study. Norma spoke about an environmental impact study, which is an expensive one, but for a slow and a much smaller volumes, you need to almost indicate to the environmental guys that whatever I'm doing, I'm still going to be mindful of the environment. I'm not going to pollute, and whatever I'm producing or the blood that comes from here will not end up in some drain, municipal drain. That means that could be a problem. So there are quite a few areas of ticking. Then you need to do an application from the provincial veterinary public health office, and then they will going to inspect your facilities and then give you a number. There's a fee that you pay that is renewable every month. They are the ones who are auditing you, they are the ones who are inspecting you, and also they are the ones who are going to make sure that your inspector, the person who renders meat inspection, is an independent person from that doesn't have an interest other than the fact that you're paying indirectly. So these are issues that must be addressed before, and then you do a trial slaughter. Some they call it a trial run, and just to check with everything is in place. But basic in requirements, rural abattoir structure, minimum requirements, a sterilizer, a stunner, and the height, inspection, chilling if you can. That should be it, Farm Girl. I think so for now.
Thank you for that, Vili. It's very, very informative. I've also taken down a few of your points that you've made. We have another question from Mabasa. Let's just give him some time to ask his question. Mabasa, can you hear me? Mabasa, you can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Hello?
Hi.
Am I okay to speak?
Yes, you can speak. You can ask your question.
Okay, I'd like to just first start off by thanking you guys for this wonderful session that you guys have set up. It's been very, very insightful. Um, yeah, it's a wonderful session that you guys set up. My question is for someone that is an aspiring farmer and wants to go into farming, especially being young and being conscientized to, environmental issues that are out there. There is this topic of what they call regenerative farming and organic farming, people that are very health conscious. um, what I've kind of seen is or what I wanted to ask is how viable is it for someone that is trying to get into farming to get into those aspects of or that lane, moving away from the conventional way of farming into this more organic type of space, because the general assumption is that it's very expensive, to initially set up. Could we get some clarity on how viable would it be for someone maybe with a very small budget to start up? Let's say, for example, within chicken farming, I think it'd be more efficient, or it is more efficient having your more conventional type of setup. When you talk about maybe let's say egg laying, having them in the cages and ensuring that egg breakage is put down to a minimal so that you can maximize on the profits that you can make from that and the productivity. So if we could just get someone to speak on that.
I think Ipeling is the perfect person to answer this. Google, what do you think?
Definitely. So our livestock farmers who are on the space, please, please come through and please come share your knowledge with us, because I love regenerative organic agriculture. So excellent question there, Mbasa. So I would like clarity on that when it comes to how viable it is, because the misconception or the perception is that organic farming is expensive. If you're going to let your animals free range, and that means you need more space. If you're going to be following like Alan Savory, he believes in livestock grazing. So he believes in rotational grazing, and he thinks that that can help, you know, grow grass up to the optimal peak that grass can grow, when you use your animals correctly. So there are all these methods that are coming up now that are appealing when it comes to your USP, your unique selling position as a farmer, what sets you apart. So I would, I'm actually asking the same question as you, Mbasa, because it's such a great question. So if our farmers who are on the space, who know anything about that, Ipiling, I see you here, Comrade is here, Munya's here, Dr. Rams is here. Guys, please, I'm putting you on the spot now. Please come share with us if you know anything about that. Or how about we do this? Seeing as no one wants to come forward, Mbasa, maybe we can have a conversation privately about that, and we can just brainstorm it out. I'll DM you.
We have someone that's actually joined.
Oh, Dr. Rams, thank you. Hi, Dr. Rams.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Now that I requested to speak, the network is a bit hazy, but that's okay. There are some few things that I just wanted to brush. Number one is the issue of access to, especially abattoirs. Remember in early 2019, we had a foot and mouth outbreak. So with such kind of outbreaks, a lot of abattoirs, especially in the Limpopo area, were closed down because they also had their own animals in like around the abattoir, which also tested positive for foot and mouth. So you get animals that are going directly for slaughter uh, without knowing where they come from. So a lot of abattoir owners, they decided to say we can only take animals from feedlots that we know. So it becomes a bit difficult for someone who's just starting up to just go straight to the abattoir and then slaughter their animals. So I think that one would be a bit strict right now because they don't want to end up being closed down for business because of such problems. Uh, so the animals that are going to the abattoirs nowadays, uh, they are coming in my area. The ones that I know, they are coming directly from feedlots, the feedlots that they trust, and also from the feedlot you get uh, people that are buying animals from auctions. So they buy animals from auctions, animals that are coming from rural areas. So that's where uh, everything started. So you get an animal which are stolen from one village and then moved to the next village and then sold at a feedlot, go to the abattoir. It just spreads all the disease throughout the chain of its purchases throughout until it's slaughtered. So that becomes a problem. And then the second thing, the issue of organic farming, I personally don't know a lot. The people that tried to do organic farming, the people that called me and they want to do organic farming, they ended up quitting because it's more especially when we talk about livestock. It's a lot. You you end up running it more like a feedlot kind of setup because if, for example, you have sheep and goats, you want to do organic farming in the Limpopo area, it doesn't survive because we are in the area where we have hard water. So you don't want to expose your animals to the parasites out there, and then you end up not using medications. So it's a bit difficult. With chickens, I know a few guys that are trying to do it. It's just that at some point, I'm not saying they are doing it, but then I'm just saying at some point it doesn't work. They end up saying these are free range chickens, and then when the inspector comes in, that's when they are free ranging. When the inspector leaves, that's when the chickens are caged, and then they are being fed in there because it becomes too expensive to go the organic way, like strictly organic way, because you end up not deworming the animals, you end up not giving them medication, you end up not doing a lot of things to prevent them from dying. A lot of them, they end up dying, and then you don't even know what to do. So I think it works best if you're in the industry where you're just planting, not with livestock. With livestock, it's a bit tricky. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that explanation, Dr. Rams. Um, I see Ole also tried to become a speaker again, but alas, we'll see if he can connect again. Is there anyone uh, other that we have that has a question?
Tamsin, I do have questions. I have DMs here.
All right.
From Maxwell. Maxwell is like he just can't use his mic. And his question is, how's the advancement of technology enabling efficient agri-process farming in this space? Has this shown a positive impact on small farmers?
Gugu, I lost you there for the in the first section of that question.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now, Tamsin?
Yes, you loud and clear now.
Okay. So Maxwell wanted to know, how is the advancement of technology enabling efficient agri-process farming? Has this shown a positive impact on small farmers?
Ipeleng, do you want to take that question for us? Ipeleng, can you hear us? Doesn't look so. Veli, do you maybe have some input there on how the technology has given us a heads up as small farmers?
Well, Tamsin, I think technology in general it has assisted us mostly. I saw also in China now they are raising pigs in houses in a flats in a block of about 20-story houses, and they are using only light. I didn't read much on that because I felt no, this is against animal welfare. But in one when one looks at it in the near future, we are going to have lots of meat. Sometimes they even talk of the meat that will be from the laboratory. But for a farmer, I don't see that assisting a small scale farmer, because you see technology needs money, technology needs research. You possibly need to almost certify your animals to be free from a whole lot of things. Now for small scale farmers, I think the traditional way of doing it, and running against Dr. Ramses is talking about it, organic dangerous territories, because we don't really know about it yet, but there are advances that are made. Now for a farmer, if he is small enough, I will say let's stick to what we know for now and really maximize on it. Technology may help us in communication, yes, but really railing this animal to be better, I'm a bit worried about that. But that's only just me looking at what is happening now in the current world. Tamsin?
Thank you for that explanation, Veli. I really appreciate it. We have another question.
Hi, Makakule. Makakule, can you hear us?
Hi guys, yeah, I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Awesome. So, I would like to speak on the question. Uh, in South Africa,
Makakule, sorry, you're
um,
breaking a bit. You're breaking.
um, okay, it must be my network. Can you guys hear me
No,
now?
we can hear you now, like loud and clear. Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, awesome. So on the technology one, I've worked with a small farmer at the CSIR. So the CSIR was working with small farmers, and it was a chicken farmer in this case. So they were trying to see how technology can be used in terms of in a farmer's context. So the project that I worked on particularly was enabling chicken farmers decrease the mortality rate on their farms, and then also increase the weight of the chicken. So they wanted to sell fat chickens. So we were using data sciences, but the farms that we were working with were farm like e-farms basically. They had like sensors to monitor temperatures around the chicken houses, to monitor pH levels in the waters and all of sorts of things. So you basically working with the data to see how you can manipulate it to get the desired results, which were lower mortality rates and fatter chickens. So I think that is one context in which technology was used. It can be used and it can help farmers optimize their 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 output, and yeah, at a lower price.
Thank you, Makakule, and I have to agree with you there. I think apps are the new best thing because it can help interpret your data. So, um, yeah, I think technology in that sense, it being free, we can look at such apps that make our lives easier. But I also have to agree with what Mr. Lulu was saying when he spoke about how expensive it is, because when you look at organic farming, there's a lot of R&D that needs to take place there. You need to fund that, I don't know where it's gonna come from, but you need to make sure that the practices that you're researching about. I know Alan favors is from Zimbabwe, like right here, but you can use his method, but you also have to pay for it. So you need money, to ensure results if you're gonna go the organic route. But it's worth exploring and talking about. I still believe.
All right, yeah, it's doable. Yeah, it has been used. Yeah, so I think hopefully everybody will get there eventually.
Thanks, Makakule.
Thanks, Guru.
Thank you so much for adding, Makakule. I think I see Ipaleng has joined us as a speaker. Ipaleng, do you have a question or do you want to add something for us?
Yeah, the feed, she's into agro processing. She's very strict when it comes to feeding her pigs. The spillage, the waste, she's very conscious when it comes to waste. And the way Nomathemba is so passionate, you can even go through her chain. When she's going to the abattoir, the way she load her pigs to the abattoir, she's having those pens and everything. Like the health of animals is a priority in Nomathemba. So my question to Nomathemba, I've had the opportunity to interview Nomathemba. I know how passionate she is, but now I want to know, we don't have to undermine the farm spaces. Look, this is the most powerful network I've ever been amongst the farmers. So now there are a lot of people who are listening, Nomathemba. There are a lot of people with potential who can be able to say, look, Nomathemba might not be that person who just shows everything on the social media, but Nomathemba, she's definitely that girl who just take the province to the national. My question, what is it that she can do to expand her business? Because I've seen her business plans, most of her business plans fails. Her passion, I know she's one person who never gives up, but I would just want to know that maybe somewhere, somehow, if someone is listening and that person is having some millions in the bank account, and that person can be of a help to Nomathemba. If I have to give, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ipaleng.
Wow.
That's a very interesting question. But she's a listener.
Yo, wow. Thank you,
She's a
Ipeling.
speaker. Hi,
Yay.
Nomathemba.
Yes, Kuku.
Okay.
I was just saying thank you, Ipiling. I'm not very good at communicating, but you sure did a great job on that one, and I'm grateful. But if I were given 20 million rands, what I would do is I would on the go do 100 cell unit on my farm, just to say, okay, with 100 cell unit, it puts you on the platform as to saying, if you can go to any bank right now, you can get a loan to expand, because we are often told that with 100 cell unit you can't make profit and all of that. But when we were doing a training, it was basically on a 20 cell unit, and I was basically showing the guys that who were there to say, this whole thing of saying you cannot make profit on a 20 cell unit, or let alone a 10 cell unit, it's not the truth. You do make profit, but it will be your 2 rands, your 1 rands. But in terms of scales, because you all know in economies of scale, if you've got 100 cell unit, you will move from making your 2 rands to making 200 rands, or to making 2000 rands. Hence, the bank will say, okay, now we're looking at this number. So, with that 20 million, most definitely, I would just start with 100 cell unit to put me on the spot, that when I'm able to go to these banks, whether it's your land bank, whether it's your IDC, whether it's your ABSA, I would know definitely, guaranteed, I will then have a loan, because that's what I've been struggling with. I can't get a loan because I'm being told that you can't move from a 15 cell unit to a 250 cell unit, despite the fact that you've got the market, you've got the training, you've got everything, you're compliant, but we cannot take that risk to saying this is what we're giving you, and that has been my major problem. So if there's somebody who's listening there and really they've got that money, oh, please come and invest. I'm ready. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nomathemba. Gugu Thompson, can you allow me to ask Nomathemba the last question?
Ask away, Ipiling.
Okay. Nomathemba, through our networks, I've just realized that you are one person who's not selfish about the information you do share. Nomathemba, she's accredited of trainings. Once in a while, you'll see that she does trainings over pig production, agro processing, and others. Currently, there's a training that Nomathemba is about to run that is about meat processing, the one that we are talking about. Now, I want you to share with the listeners that what is the importance of working together as pig farmers, because I know in the past years you have tried to work with us, the pig farmers, that guys, let's try to work together and see how, like you have mentioned at the beginning of the show, that in the market, each and everyone has got the slide. We don't have to fight or compete with one another. So the market is enough for all of us. So I want you, Nomathemba, to share with the listeners that what is the importance of working together, especially more in the pig production.
Well, as I was busy struggling with getting loans, I realized that, you know what? Maybe I don't even need to have 100 cell units. If I can get 10 farmers around my area, and we all become compliant, and we're able to produce 20 carcasses on a weekly basis, because my market says, okay, we want 100 carcasses. So if I've got 10 of you guys here, which can supply 20, because I've got 3 letters of intent, so we can basically even do more than 100 carcasses on a weekly basis. So if everybody can supply 20, 20, 20, 20, knowing we're compliant, knowing that the feed that we give our pigs, the gradings that they're going to come back, it's going to be what the market wants, then I would rather do that and say, okay, now let's come to an agreement. I will come to your farm. I will mentor you. You will buy the feed from me, because I know that the reason why my pigs are not fatty is because of the feed that I feed them. So you will buy the feed from me, and then I will buy the carcasses from you at this amount. And I'm transparent about it because this is what I'll be getting. So if I'll be getting 25 rands, I'll be buying it from you at 23 rands just to make that 2 rands profit. And even if you say, okay, 2 rand is a lot, why can't you just make 1 rand, you know? And I would say, okay, let's do this. Because now I am able to supply my market with the amount of carcasses that they require and ensuring that the quality is there while everybody benefits, you know. They know that as a small scale farmers, we've got a market that takes our 20 carcasses, and we're also making X amount of rands from that. Even with the feed price, it then decreases because our feeds won't be the same price as the commercial feeds that you would be buying from other retail stores. And then again, like I said, if we can find other farmers who says, okay, I would want to do feed, but then I will grow your maize for you because this is the cultivar of my soil and all of that I've done, you see. So it expands. It's no longer just me getting the carcasses from you, but we are now playing in all the different stages of the value chain where we've got people who will grow the crops for us. We will do the feed. We've got farmers who are buying the feed. So the money rotates amongst us. And it's so funny how I've been uttering the same thing, but nobody seems to see it because we cannot work together. Somebody will be saying, but she's going to be benefiting because we're going to be buying feed from her, but you're not seeing the bigger picture, which is you already buying feed at a higher price somewhere else. And then you are sitting there with stock where you don't even know where you're going to take it. But I'm simply saying, let's work together so that we cut out so many costs and we just unify this and bring about the market. Because at the end of the day, even if we are not even supplying these other big wholesalers, we amongst ourselves are the buyers. So why are we not even selling to ourselves to saying let's process this pork after when it comes back from the abattoir, instead of buying it at 70 rands from somewhere or 80 rands or 90 rands because the quality is still the same, why not sell it amongst us at 60 rands? And everybody still gets to eat at home and still gets to make money. But the problem is we don't see the bigger picture because we're not united. We cannot come together and sit and say, okay, we are agreeing on this, we are going to do it and actually stick to it. We find so many little things and everybody wants to make a mark and says, I'm a brand on my own, and we'll never make it like that. So that has always been my problem with working with people. Hence I just say, okay, sometimes I'll just post what I post, and I'll keep in my little corner because that's just about it, my little corner. But if you come knocking and say, hey, I need help, I don't mind sharing information because, like I said, I don't view people as competitors. The cake is huge. Everybody can get a chunk in it. It's just that you need to see the bigger picture. You need to be there. You need to be a farmer. You need to feel what the industry is like and what is happening. Then your mindset automatically changes. So, yeah, I think I've said a mouthful.
Thank you so
You
much,
have, and
Nomathemba.
we appreciate it,
It's such
Nomathemba.
it's great information. Thank you so much, Nomathemba. And I think you you've inspired a lot of us here, and I'm speaking for myself. You've inspired me as a person that's not even in pig farming, but I feel like I want to become a pig farmer now. Jokes, but I really feel like you are what we've been speaking about. You are that person that wants to give back to the next generation, and I think that's amazing. Gugu, if you have anything to say, that's it from my side. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining.
Thank you so much, Tamsin. We do have one last question, and this is for Veli, and then we can close the space. I'm not sure if this has been answered, but I'll just shoot at it. Africa Zitande is saying, say I have a butchery and people have slaughtered their cow or goat for their ritual and brings it to the butchery. What are the guidelines with regards to that? So I think he was touching more on the illegal slaughter. Dr. Veli?
Okay, Africa, Zikau, whenever you have
Zitande.
a Zitande, is it Zitande? Okay, Africa, Zitande, whenever you have a butchery which is registered, you are not expected to accept anything that is outside areas that are controlled. Now, there's the One Health focus. It's more of a concept of the World Health Organization that looks at the environment, the animal, and the human health. Now, whenever you are trying to strive as a farmer, just protect these three areas. Do not allow, similar to biosecurity, you do not need to allow anything that is outside a controlled area that may later lead maybe possibly to an outbreak of specific problems for you. You don't need that situation. I would say if ever there's somebody who says you have a butchery, please cut it for me. They must at least source it from you to be able to use your machine to cut it. But otherwise, in parting short, farmers, I'm so inspired. Ipileng, Nomatemba, Gugu, Tamzin, thank you so much, guys, for all everything. The questions are good, but farmers, yes, Nomatemba, farmers need to work together. Keep working. The country needs you. The world needs you. In fact, South Africa needs farmers. We need to really do something regarding the issue of formal and informal. Let's bridge the gap. Let's work together. Let's do lots of research. Let's write papers on the effective ways that we are employing in our little corners. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. Much appreciated.
Thank you so much, Veli. It looks like people don't really want to end us to end the spaces. We have another speaker, Peter. Would you like to ask a question?
Tamsin, good evening. Always great being in this space. Now, I just want to add to what Felice said, and I think in South Africa, the farming space, our communities and the farmers are so diverse and so diverse from informal to formal. But one thing, as a farmer myself, that I know is that farmers are people of resilience and people that can and will work together well. And I think it's important for this spaces, and I'm always very grateful for Google to host these spaces, to open up conversations where we could ask questions, raise issues, and get answers. Because I said this in another space, farmers understand farmers, right? You can speak to your accountant friend about lots of things, but you can't speak to him about the safety of meat slaughtering. You can't speak to him about a sheep that's not well. The only place we can really speak to it is about farmers. And I feel farmers are really just, we need to embrace the Ubuntu way of living, I am because of you. And we just need to support each other. And therefore, I'm so thankful for this conversations that we're having, active conversation on various topics. Because somewhere there's someone in the Eastern Cape who's got 3 cars that wants to become a big farmer, but they don't have the resources, they don't have the support. Where we get someone like Gugu that hosts these spaces where we connect to each other. And isn't that amazing? The power of social media, that we could come from all over the world in the country and connect with each other to support each other. And I really want to emphasize what Veli said, that we need to support each other, and we need to have that support from informal and formal and learn from each other. But in the same space, I want to encourage you guys to ask questions. I think we as Africans, we're very shy people. Some of us are very shy. We are too humble to ask questions. We think, I'm too humble, I'm not going to ask questions, don't want to intrude. If I can give you a piece of advice, use it or lose it. You've already got to know all that you can add is a yes. You've already got to know all that you can add is a yes. So ask questions, engage, DM people and say, I see you are very successful wheat farmer. Listen, I'm struggling with my wheat. It's not growing. You know, what you advice do you have? And once you realize that farmers are actually friendly people, and they share the same interest as you know, so and we all have passion. Why do we start to farm? Because it's a passion of ours, and if once we share passions, there's a communal love for something. We start to talk about it. You know, I'm so passionate about farming and agriculture. I love it when I see Gugu's online with this space, and I immediately request to get the mic because I'm so passionate about it, you know, for the love of agriculture. So I want to end off by saying I would encourage you guys to keep on asking questions, keep on engaging with each other, connecting with each other, and supporting each other, because that is the way forward. Together, we can make a difference. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Peter. That was a mouthful, but I 100% agree with what you said. We need to stick with each other, and without you, I'm not. Without me, you are not. I think that message of Ubuntu is a very important one. Ole, I think Eugene will go first. Eugene, you had a question? Hi, Eugene. Can you hear me? Ole, if you can hear me, you can ask your question.
Hi, Jasmine, can you hear me?
Loud and clear,
Hello?
Ole. Yes, I can hear you. You can go ahead and ask your question.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Google, can you maybe just answer him? I think maybe it's the
Hello?
problem is with my mic.
Hello?
Hi, Ole. Hi.
Can you hear me, Google?
Yes, loud and clear. All right, maybe it's network issues, Tamsin, but we have first Jean. Hi, first Jean. All right. We've gone overboard. So what do you think, Tamsin?
Yeah, I think we should call it. We've gone 42 minutes over. It just shows the amount of interest that we have. Maybe at a later stage we can unpack the topic again, or maybe on a different platform. Or I'm not sure. But we are always available. You can always DM us, or my email address is it's in my bio. Just shout. Veli is also available. He's a guy that always loves giving information. So yeah, just shout out. Give us a question. My door's always open. I would like farmers to ask questions.
Thank you so much, Tamsin. And on my side, I just really wanted to thank our speakers, Noma Temba and Veli. I think you guys really gave us a handbook when it comes to food safety, meat slaughtering. And I just wanted to thank you guys for sharing your experiences with us and motivating us. It was such a beautiful, inspiring session. And we've learned a lot when it comes to growing, because I feel like all of us as farmers will always have that mindset of taking it to the next level. And you guys have given us the tools that we need. So thank you so much again. And Tamsin, thank you so much for hosting us as well. This topic was something that we really needed to explore. So thank you so much, Tamsin, also.
Thank you for having me, Gugu, and I really appreciate you taking a shot on me. And hopefully, in the near future, I'll be here again.
For sure, obviously you will be. We have to have a food safety meat slaughtering part 2, because clearly, a lot of us still want to ask questions and speak. So thank you so much, Tamsin, for this great idea. So Also, to our listeners, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. As Tamsin mentioned, I think you can DM the speakers and ask your questions if maybe there's something else you'd like to add on or really find out. But otherwise, from me, thank you guys so much.